All right, so let's move on to what's happening this week, and we'll start off with Bellator again. Bellator 139, Chick Kongo in the main event here. It looks like a decent show. It's in Mulvane, Kansas, and Chick Kongo, Alexander Volkov.
Yes, and I'll give you my predictions for each of these fights if you want them.
All right, let's go with Kongo Volkov.
Well, age is definitely a factor here for Chick Kongo. He's 40. We're talking a lot about age on this show, and if Kongo is going to make a run for the heavyweight title in Bellator and try to get back to a second match with Minikov, he's going to run out of time here. He needs to beat Volkov to get that rematch. Volkov has the exact same problem. He lost the title to Minikov, so if he doesn't beat Kongo, he may not get another opportunity for a long time. So there is a lot on the line for both of these men. Now, as for who I think is going to win, I have to say the height is a problem for Kongo here. He has problems with guys that are smaller than him, and he has problems with guys that are taller than him. We saw it with King Mo, took him down over and over again, couldn't do anything to stop it. I fear this will be a problem for Kongo. Kongo says he's been training with guys at the body shop that are Alexander Volkov's height, but that doesn't mean they're the fighters that Alexander Volkov is.
Wait a minute, so it's like three bears. That fighter's too tall. That fighter's too short. This guy's just right, but no.
Well, you look at Kongo's record, it kind of goes that way. He has good fights when he's matched up with guys that are good at his size and skill set. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but at the same time, I am saying that he's got a really tough road ahead of him with Volkov, and I think Volkov's going to get the better of him.
Yeah, I think Volkov wins as well. Let's quickly move on to John Aliso against David Rickles.
First round knockout for the Caveman.
I think it's an upset win for Aliso.
Nope. Rickles is much younger, much stronger, and by his own admission, he's not a fat ass anymore. He said, I interviewed him about this, he said he used to pig out between fights, and now he doesn't do it.
Okay, well, I mean, this is why you fight the fights, right? I think that it'd be a good test for Rickles, and if he can put him away as quickly as you say he will, then, I mean, that would really elevate his status in the title picture.
First round knockout or a first round submission, and then he wants Chandler.
Oh boy.
Well, you know what? That would be a hell of a number one contenders match, because they both fought for the title before.
Put that on a show, on a 10-pole show where you get the casual fans watching as well, and can really elevate both those fighters in the casual fans' eyes.
Yeah, well, I said the same thing to Kongo. If he wins, he's in a main event with Minikov, because he's earned the right to be in a top fight on a 10-pole card if he gets that win.
Pat Curran and Emmanuel Sanchez.
Yeah, Curran is looking to rebound here. He's a former champion, but he's not had a good run of late. He's dropped 3 out of his last 4 fights, and Sanchez has only lost 1 time in his entire career. But of the two, Pat Curran is the more diversified fighter. In his wins, he has 5 knockouts, 7 submissions, and 8 decisions. I'm going to favor a versatile guy with experience who's a former champion over a guy coming in from, he's won a couple of Bellator fights, but he's still unproven against top-level competition like Curran. So
yeah, I agree with you on that one, for sure.
So I think Curran will take a unanimous decision.
Joe Schilling and Hisaki Kato.
Well, Kato is a striker from Japan with 4 to 5 wins by knockout, so he's going to go in there and try to stand toe-to-toe with Schilling. But that's exactly what Schilling wants, because he's a kickboxer, and his kickboxing record is way better than his MMA record. So I think this is a fight I'm not saying they gave it to Schilling to win, because they probably like Kato to do well. I mean, they're importing him all the way from Japan, so they don't want him to be a tomato can for this fight. But at the same time, I think if it turns into anything close to a kickboxing fight, Joe Schilling will take him apart.
Yeah. And one fight in the prelims of note, Joe Wilk against Bubba Jenkins.
Exactly. And Bubba Jenkins is looking to rebound from his tap-out submission. Well, more like getting frozen in a block of ice submission when Georgi Karakhanyan caught him and hung onto that choke way, way, way too long because the referee couldn't see that he was going out.
Yeah, it was not the best night for that referee.
No, not the best night for Bubba Jenkins, but he is convinced that he's coming back stronger than ever, and he's not disrespecting Joe Wilk in any way because he knows the nose is a tough guy.
Let's move on to UFC Fight Night 70 with Yoel Romero and Lyoto Machida in the main event. However, this card has definitely seen better days.
Yes. Why don't you tell everybody how many fights have been scrubbed or rebooked?
I think it's 7?
It's at least 7.
Which is scary. It reminds you of the Calgary show.
Here, let me just run down the list. I'm going to see if I get all of them. If I miss any of the changes, you tell me.
Okay.
Nikita Krylov and Marcos Rogerio de Lima was supposed to be on this card, but de Lima had visa issues. Ronnie Yaya and Masanori Kanahara was moved to the UFC Fight Night 71 because of visa issues. Chaz Skelly and Hakran Diaz was supposed to be on this card. Skelly was pulled for illness, not visa issues, and replaced by Levon Makshashvili. And a welterweight bout between Viscardi Andrade and Andreas Stahl was scrapped because Stahl had an injury. And I think there are some other visa issues that I have missed here. So what were they? What ones did I leave out?
Okay, so on my list I've got Silva's Story, Kanahari, Yaya, Merritt, Olivieri,
Yeah,
Gonzalez,
I didn't mention
Silva,
Olivieri. You're right. Go on.
Gonzalez Silva,
Yeah.
Viscardi Andrade and Andreas Stahl, due to an injury by Stahl. That's the only other thing I see here. But the Story fight, that's huge. Silva's Story would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been a big fight.
But we move on to the actual card. And boy, it's one of those things where you hate seeing it, like a lot of those fights getting moved around, but Machida Romero in the main event, still a great fight. Machida looking to get himself back in that conversation for a title shot, and Romero's looking to play with house money here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Romero, I think if he loses, it's not as a big deal as if Machida lost.
No.
Larkin and help me out here. Lorenz Larkin and Santiago Ponzinibbio.
Ponzinibbio, you're right.
Larkin wins that fight.
Yes, I agree.
Eddie Gordon and Antonio Carlos Jr. could be interesting.
Truck Gordon is going to look to come out and show some more stuff that we haven't seen from him yet. So,
Steve Boss against Thiago Santos. Boss was supposed to fight in Montreal. That got pushed back with the whole Rampage thing. So this is his makeup fight.
Yep.
And Hakran Diaz and Levin Mashashvili. I don't know. I really don't know about this fight.
Well, I'm going with Gordon, Santos, and Diaz, so if that tells you anything.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. The Diaz fight, I can go either way. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, well, the reason I like him is because even in the 2 fights that he lost out of his last 3, he faced 2 really, really good guys. There's no shame in losing to Nick Lentz or Ricardo Lamas.
Now, this fight looked better on paper than what we're actually getting, but still a fight you should watch. Yes. A card you should watch.
Yeah, I'd say it's a better card than the Fight Night in Berlin without really having to think too hard about it.
Sure. Alright, so we talked about the visa issues. Let's talk about some news, and we talked about Gracie Shamrock. Thinking about that Shamrock fight just for another second here. If you put Gracie Shamrock, do you even want to put that in a tent pole, or do you want to make that its own separate show? I mean, you're going to pull the casual fans for that one. You don't need to step it on a stacked tent pole show.
No, probably not.
I mean, now going back to the press conference at Bellator, the post-fighter, did Phil Davis address, he's talked about him being paged over the intercom. Did they mention that at the post-fight? Did anybody ask him about it at the post-fight?
No, I didn't find out that that's where he was until after the press conference.
Okay.